So this is a project that I've been working on for this past few months, and it's basically a Pocket-based clone built with Laravel. If you don't know what Pocket-Base is, it's this backend as a service platform, kind of simpler alternative to Firebase, where everything runs at a single binary, single executable, so you can focus building your app or your front end. And if you're not familiar with backend as a service platform in general, the idea is that you don't have to build your backend from scratch. You can just instantly create a collections and define API rules, and then just expose the APIs immediately to your front end. So I basically recreated all of that using Laravel. The project is called Veloquen, and domain is velophp.com if you want to give it a try. And as you can see right here, I have already set up a demo for demonstration purposes. So you can get like the admin panels where you can configure your collections. You can configure your create new collection, which is like this database table, and then you can have your indexes, your API rules, and the field also have a type, which is there's many type like text, boolean, data, email, URL, select, or file, or relation, which is the most important one. And there's also a log space, which is basically just a Laravel's log file viewer, and it logs your IP2 and every single request made to your app. So I'm not going to click on this because it's not going to reveal my IP address. I am going to reveal this one on the demo I had set up. I already disabled the IP logging, but as you can see, it's literally just Laravel logging. This is my own logging events. You can see that it's recording everything, like the headers, the user, this user, this is the ID of the user, the duration of the request, and etc. Also, as you may notice, there's also an auth collection, which is you can use it for authenticate. Like this is the users collection, which has the standard collection configuration, and you also have options which you can define to set up your auth collection for like authentication methods. You can have standard or OAuth. You can configure your OAuth by bringing your own just API key or the client secret. And you also have the email configuration, which you can customize. There's also a setting page where you can use specify your own disk. Right now I use the local disk, but you can use your own S3 and your own email settings for that matter. And there's also this schema maintenance, which is related to MySQL, which is I'm going to talk that later. There's also a schema transfer, which is literally just schema export and import, and you can also export the recursive one. There's a test, which is basically just a regular API test, and the real-time test. So, speaking of database, you can use like any database that Laravel supports. Like it's literally under the hood, it's literally just a Laravel app. So you can use like SQLite, MySQL, Postgre, or any database. But I've personally tested three, like the SQLite, MySQL, and Postgre is the one that I've tested because that's probably what most people use anyway. But you can use, just whatever database you want, like swap it out. Like this is the one thing that Pocketbase cannot do, like swap your database. If I want to use Postgre, I can do that. And since this the real time one, the real-time part, this is where it gets challenging because I had to come up with something to match what Pocketbase has, which is literally there. They have Go routine. If you know about Go, it's literally just this mini concurrency, which is super powerful. And I could not match that in PHP because PHP out of the box does not have any async, and it does have async if you add like a library, but that's out of the question. So I end up implementing this real-time worker. So it's a long-running separate process like you'd run in Artisan. If you run keyword or a scheduler run, this is literally exactly like it. You run it by supervisor or something else, which is just something like this. You can see that it's running quite a long time now. But basically, it's just artisan command that handles the real-time subscription. It creates a real-time subscription if you subscribe to the subscription point by registering the subscriptions, and then anytime the record or anything change in the record, it's gonna dispatch an event which is telling the real time, which is get passed to the real time worker, and then gets processed by it, and then broadcast it using the Laravel's default broadcasting system. And speaking with broadcast, you also know that Laravel broadcast system uses WebSockets instead of Pocket bases like SSE. So uh, it's more maturified if you compare like WebSockets and SSE, but that's another matter. But just know that this is like full real time, like WebSocket, not an SSD. And back to the database, since like I just literally discovered this, like you cannot have like transactional transactional when you run a DDL, or when you create a table you cannot like undo it, in MySQL or any MariaDB or something like that. But in Postgre and SQLite you can do that. So I built this schema maintenance which literally just tracks if the altering database fell midways. If it fell midways, this can have an entry right here, and then it's gonna tell you, hey, this table is corrupt, or this collection is corrupted, because the underlying table is probably out of sync on the metadata. So it's gonna tell you to either recreate the collection or remove the collection entirely. So at least there's that for MySQL, because many people use MySQL in my opinion, and I personally use MySQL too. So I don't think it should be left out since Laravel supports it. And another feature that's really important is multi-tenancy, which is supported out of the box. I use Pathia Laravel multi-tenancy, and as you can see right here, I have my demo VPS server running, and I can run this commands tenants list, and I can see all of the tenants that are in my Laravel instance. So it's basically just a way to reuse the same backend Laravel project in for many applications. So I had another one for different application. This is kind of quite taking a long time. So yeah, this is completely two separate apps that I had, but the data is isolated to each of one of these. So this data will not leak to the other, and vice versa. And also, other thing that I want to mention is upgradability. Since Pocket-based like strategy, like they have this one file, right? So if you want to upgrade, literally just swap the file out. But I'm thinking another strategy, because PHP is a dynamic library, so you cannot compile it. But uh, you can actually compile, but that's just another hassle to manage. So I managed to follow the Laravel's pattern, which is keeping two repositories, one for the skeleton and one for the core package. The core package is literally where the most of the feature runs on or sits on, and the skeleton literally just installs the package onto the Laravel's app. So essentially you can install this on any fresh Laravel application, but I recommend using the first party skeleton, because I modified a bit of the skeleton to fit my needs, this application needs. And I also have this website I did, Fellow PHP. You can visit it to get the documentation if you want to try it out. And I made the installation very easy, so you can run these three commands and it's just gonna instantly serve the project outright. By default, I use SQLite as the database, because I figured that's the easiest one, so people gonna have access to it. To showcase this, I have also created two apps to test it. Right? So I have this first app, which is a messaging app. Where is it? Okay. Let's. So I hosted with GitHub page, which is probably not right, since I can just like host it somewhere else, like Vercel or something. But I just want to get something out quick, so yeah, here it is. It's literally just a chat app, but where it has like end-to-end encryption. But the thing that I want to focus is the real time. So I have two separate accounts, so let's test it out. It's probably this, right? So this is encrypt lock, so this is the end-to-end encryption working in. So if I send a message, that's gonna uh, gets received by the other party too, but it says it's encrypted. Okay, I don't know why it says that, but okay. Okay, I think the public key is messed up in this one, but that's another bug that I have to solve. But the point is that the real-time work as expected. It's WebSocket out of the box, so you don't have to worry about anything like battle testing. It's literally just a WebSocket on Pulsar protocol, like Laravel broadcasting. So it's incredibly fast, and it's reliable too. And another app that I've built, which is this, literally just a regular uh, crude app. So the app is literally, this is a Flutter app, but I just ported it to web, so I can showcase the feature. Oh, and also this is the OAuth. I have not set that up, but I think I've already implemented that. Okay, wait a second. Alright, so yeah, this literally just a simple app to track your weightlifting progress. I made this that I use this myself honestly because I need it. Just and I thought why not use my own backend to create this. So yeah, I think that's it. If you want to visit it, the website is vellophp.com. You can explore it. There is also a full documentation built in. I've built the documentation. And also I forgot to mention this, but SDKs. I have also made the SDKs for JavaScript and Flutter since that's probably what most developers use. For JavaScript, you can use it for any framework. This doesn't really tie to a specific framework, so you can bring your own like storage and HTTP library. For the Flutter SDK or the Dart SDK is specifically made for Flutter right now, but I don't know. I don't plan for adding any support for Dart. So yeah, for now it's just for Flutter. But for the JavaScript, you can use something else. Like this chat messaging app. This is Svelte. This uses Svelte under the hood, and it uses the SDK. So yeah, that's it. If you want to visit it, take a look or whatever, contribute or whatever else. I really need an opinions on this because I need to know if this like worth keeping the tab to keep working on, or should I just scrape it altogether. And it's still rough around the edges, but I'm still working on it because I'm still working on it. So as you can see, this is my to-do list. It still has a lot of things on my tab like testing, and I still have to add some support for this to match the Pocket Base style. So yeah, I think that's it. I've included for the docs. I've included like the installation and the basics for like the collection fields, working with API rules, authentication, database, and deploying, and also the multi-tenancy stuff. And yeah, and the documentation for stuff. Okay, I think that's it. See you.